Jews, Christians, and basically any people who are not Muslims are being discriminated against in Jerusalem, and yet nobody is talking about it. Everything I'm going to say in this video is as clear as day, but as so often happens, the big stories are right in front of us, but everybody chooses to look the other way. Today we are not going to look the other way. Today we are going to look directly at the sad reality of the Temple Mount. The old city of Jerusalem is divided into 5 parts: the Armenian quarter, the Christian quarter, the Muslim quarter, the Jewish quarter, and the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is huge. It is actually 1/5 of the old city and has 10 gates. Muslims are allowed to enter freely through 9 of these gates 24/7, while non-Muslims are limited to entering through 1 gate only and for only 4 hours of the day and not every day. Sounds crazy? Let me show you. I'm going to try to enter one of these gates. Hello? Is it open until 2?
No, not from here at first. It's from the west wall.
Okay.
But in 5 minutes it's closed.
Close? And I cannot enter
Only
here?
Muslims.
Here only Muslims?
Yeah.
Okay, so they said only Muslims in one gate. Let's try another gate. Let's see. Yes?
You are Muslim?
No.
Only for Muslim.
Only for Muslim? But I know non-Muslim can.
Cannot get inside, but not from here, not this gate.
No. From where?
From the western wall.
From the Western Wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a nice day, sir.
How do they know if you're a Muslim? If you look Arab and speak Arabic, then they will let you enter. And if they suspect you or not, then they ask you to say some prayers. I'm going to show you where non-Muslims can enter from and talk about all the restrictions that only apply to non-Muslims. But before that, let's think about what's going on here for a second. What would happen if it was the other way around? Let's imagine that a street in a random, boring city in Israel, like Petah Tikva, is closed to Muslims for an hour every day. That would make headlines all over the world. If the smallest church in the smallest city, in the great state of Wisconsin, were to say that Muslims are not allowed to enter during certain hours and are not allowed to have the Quran with them, then this would be on the news in every single country. Here in Jerusalem, I'm not talking about a small street or a nameless synagogue. I'm talking about the Temple Mount. I'm talking about the holiest place for Jews and a very important site for billions of Christians and a huge area in the middle of one of the most important cities in the world. Another important fact that is often forgotten is that if Muslims want to enter the Church of the Holy Sepulchre or visit the Western Wall, they can do it freely and can have any book, holy or unholy, in their bag. It is only the Muslims that are discriminating against everyone else. Now let me show you the only gate that non-Muslim can enter through. So this is the Western Wall Plaza. You need to go out in the direction of the Dung Gate and then come here. Let's talk about the restrictions. You are not allowed to have any religious symbols, so no crosses, no Bibles, and we tour guides are not allowed to show any illustration of the Jewish temples that once stood here. This is insane. Do you know of any other place you can't take your Bible with you. If Muslims were not allowed to enter a site with the Quran, then there would be protests all over. But when the freedom of Jews and Christians is compromised, then nobody says anything. If you do accidentally have a Bible or crosses on with you, you need to leave them here. Now it is wintertime, so the entering hours are Sunday to Thursday from 7 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and another hour at noontime from 12:30 to 1:30. Okay, so we've got through security. We have no Bible with us, so we can walk up the Temple Mount. I had a mini tripod in my bag, which was about 20 centimeters or 7-inch long, and a policeman told me I had to leave it behind. So remember, no Bibles, no crosses, and no tripods. This is getting ridiculous. So I'm sorry if the footage on the Temple Mount is shaky. I just want to add that I have nothing against the police. They are only doing their job, after all, and it is a very tense and stressful job. As you saw, the policemen at the gates didn't realize that I was Israeli. They thought I was a tourist, and they were nice and helpful. As a guide, you can explain about the history of the place. You explain how important it is to Jews, Christians, and Muslims. But often when talking about the Jewish temple, the Waqf, the Muslim authorities, start screaming at you that there was no Jewish temple here. Now, this is something very dangerous that the Muslims are doing here. They are erasing the Jewish and Christian history of the Temple Mount. This is a new political move. Now, it is very important to be clear here. This was never in dispute. For hundreds of years, the Muslim authorities admitted that this was a site of the Jewish temple. In a booklet they themselves published in the 60s, they wrote that this is beyond dispute, that this is where the Jewish temple once stood. Only in the last few decades have Muslims suddenly started saying that there was no Jewish temple here. It is not just the Waqf, the extreme Muslim authorities saying this. It is Mahmoud Abbas, who is not considered an extremist by world leaders, who has said it as well. Instead of saying the situation is complex, this place is important to us Muslims and to the Jews, they are now saying it is not important to the Jews. Everything I've said up until now is sadly not even the worst of it. Everything I've said can be changed. I don't see it happening anytime soon because, unfortunately, Muslim society is not getting more open and democratic. In fact, the Arab Spring brought about much more chaos and war than democracy. But the opening of the gate is something that could theoretically be changed. There are things that sadly can't be changed anymore. A few years ago, the Waqf built a huge underground mosque here. Now let's think of something revolutionary that the Waqf could have done. They could have said, this is one of the most important places to Western society. Let's invite leading archaeologists from all over the world, from many countries and religions, and excavate this place, and then build a mosque. I tell you, this kind of action could bring peace to the Middle East. Now, if you think that these kinds of actions are impossible, here is a positive example. In the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, there are different Christian denominations. For years, for centuries actually, they fought against one another, which eventually escalated into a full-scale wars. In 1808, there was a fire in the church that destroyed part of the grave of Jesus. For 200 years, the Catholics and the Orthodox couldn't come to an agreement on the terms of renovation. In 2017, they finally did, and archaeologists and other experts opened the grave and made the necessary repairs. By the way, by agreeing and working together, the archaeologists were able to reconfirm that the grave dates back to the 1st century, which basically confirms what is written in the New Testament. But here on Temple Mount, the Muslim authorities decided to do something else. They brought tractors and trucks and destroyed everything so that no Jewish artifacts would be found. 400 trucks full of earth excavated from here were thrown into local dumpsters. This was one of the biggest archaeological crimes the world has ever seen. Did you hear about it? If Jews were to destroy an important Muslim site, there would be riots against Jews all over the world, but Muslims destroying the holiest sites for Jews, and chances are you never heard about it. Standing here, you can't begin to understand the scale of that destruction. Now, because of Muslim discrimination against non-Muslims, I can't enter. By the way, have you heard of any synagogue or churches that don't allow Muslims to enter? Please give me an example. But we can see it from the other side. So now I'm going to leave the Temple Mount and enter Davidson Center. As we are heading towards the Davidson Center, please give this video a like and subscribe. It really helps to spread the word. So here you can see the corner of the western wall and the southern wall. Because of the destruction made by the Waqf, this wall almost collapsed. So you can now see the ugly new stones. Now, we have probably heard thousands of reports from Jerusalem about Jerusalem on the news. There are plenty of foreign reporters who like to enjoy the free speech that Israel provides. Have you ever heard about any of the issues that I've just been talking about? I really want to know if you already knew about any of this. I can assure you that all the foreign reporters who are stationed in Jerusalem know about it, but I wonder whether they have ever actually talked about any of it. That's it. I hope you found this video interesting. As you can imagine, not everyone appreciates these kinds of videos, but I think it is important to also show the things that people feel uncomfortable talking about, especially in the tourism industry. This video was made possible by my members and supporters, so thank you so much. If you would like to support my work, please join the community in Ko-fi. The link will be below. See you next week. Yalla bye.